Breakfast, the news review right here on Citizen TV with me, Fred Ndimuli. I'm still in studio with Boni Halwale, Deputy Party Leader, Ford Kenya, David Ole Sankok, nominated MP, Tindi Mwale, MP Butere, and Kipruto Rapkiro, Deputy Party Leader for ANC. Sorry for that, ANC. We're continuing looking at the headlines. Of course, just before the break, we were talking about, Ford Kenya and ANC. Right now, there's that alliance and probably the forming one party.
That's your
that discussion. And the Deputy Party Leader for Kenya is very silent on this matter. I don't know how far the talks have gone. Probably
which talks?
There's no merging and forming a regional party with the ANC.
I was not listening to you because I'm not alive to any discussions about a regional party that is currently existing or plans to form another regional party. I belong to a national party called the Forum for the Restoration of Democracy, the second oldest party in Kenya that was led by the historical luminaries of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Masinde Muliro, Michael Kijana Wamalo.
Do you agree with Halwale that there are no plans? There are no such plans.
No, I agree with him that the two parties are national.
Indeed.
And they are not having discussions because of the regional bloc. They are having discussions because they need to expand. Yeah, because we have MPs in Kwale, Fort Kenya has MPs in Nyanza, and they have MPs in Western, in Rift Valley. So how can it be regional?
Yeah. So there is such a conversation going
on. Fort Kenya with one senator. That is the regional party.
Let's come back.
No, that is a regional
It's a national party.
Allow me just by the way.
No. Let me respond a little bit.
Please, the national party.
Bonakiro says there are discussions going on between ANC and Fort Kenya. You say you're not aware.
No, I'm aware of discussions taking place between ANC, a national party, and Fort Kenya, a national party.
But discussions
with the intentions of forming, consolidating into another, a more forceful national party. What I'm not aware of is discussions between regional parties. Mheshimiwa, you know, sometimes it's good to remember what people said earlier. Some people say that pride comes before fall. This man you're seeing has been in offices which you and Mwale can only dream about. So when you come here, can you relax? Can you relax? No, just a minute. This is very important.
You're out of order.
You are out of order.
Freedom of expression. The media is not going to breach that law.
Your point is made.
No, it is not.
Your point is made.
So, Mheshimiwa, out of excitement of having been nominated, and you come here and say, a party of one senator. Have you ever won an election as a senator?
Wow.
It's not easy.
Wow. Anyway, gentlemen, let's continue the discussion.
I was nominated by Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, who represented 8.5 million Kenyans. So by extension, I'm an MP of 8.5 million Kenyans. Yet these Kalwale have only been able to emerge with around 20,000 votes.
Gentlemen, and this was a discussion just before we started the show that yes, between the Houses of Parliament, that's the National Assembly, and the Senate, there is quite some bullying, similar to that in high school. So we do have senior members, senior politicians who have been in politics, been in Senate, and been in the National Assembly, and we have newcomers, David Ole Sankok, sandwiched between senior politicians, and hence the drama that you see in the studio this morning. But gentlemen, let's go back to the discussion we were having about this proposal to create regional blocks, 14 of them. And I see a risk in terms of the politics that will be involved in that discussion, even just saying probably, as you say, get rid of the 47 counties. Yes? 14, if at all there was competition between the 47 governors and the central government in that power play, 14 governors or 14 leaders of these regional blocks will be even more powerful than the 47 governors. That will even complicate the politics with the central government. There will be a lot of politics in that discussion. Let's start with you, Bwana Kipruto Rapkirwa. We run a risk of fighting for another 20 years between the two or the 3 tiers of government?
Well, what I've seen with the 2 referenda we have had in the last 10 years or so, to 2005 and 2010, is that there are individuals who are specialists in picking a position that is opposite of the mainstream thinking for purposes of galvanizing some kind of loyal constituency, for purposes of also furthering their political interests. And I'm seeing this runs the risk of being fodder for some of those individuals. 2005, 2010. Not because they believed in the alternative, but they believed that this is the chance to make people captive to their political bandwagon.
So you say no simply because you want to get people behind
you. want to get people behind you, you want to get the charge, you want to get some other captive individuals. Like now, people saying, okay, counties are going to be taken away by Uhuru and Raila. Somebody may want to use that as an opportunity to leverage his 2022 agenda. That is the danger. But in its fairness, we have also to be alive to the fact that we are paying so much for this particular constitution because we never thought about it very well. The way Mheshimiwa Boni Alwale said, we thought about it in terms of fixing each other. We never thought about it in terms of resolving problems that are affecting Kenyans. Number 2, you cannot discuss these 14 regions without discussing the apex of the executive, because that is also where power play is going to have a lot of emotive feelings. Today, in Ndimuli, you know as well as I do that Kenya has been polarized by the last 2 general elections through the middle, even the one of 2007. Why? It is because it is winner take it all. Even the one of 2007 was still better because there was still a position of dignified opposition. Today, the opposition is called by another name called minority. We must prepare. If I get 7 million votes and somebody like Sonko gets about 13,000 votes, now he calls me a loser. And he himself with 13,000 votes, he thinks he's a winner. We must look for a way of having dignified opposition, which is an alternative center of power or alternative government.
Okay. Gentlemen, don't you think we're also looking at this simply looking at 2022, that even this review, those who oppose it, this suggestion of to have to relook at devolution, those who oppose it and those who support it are simply looking at 2022?
The issue, first of all, of the winner take it all. That is a contest. Because when we start now by saying the president should not take it all, there should be a position for a dignified opposition, then what will happen for a senator? And the senator who wins always take everything. The governor take everything. So we'll have a prime governor, a prime senator, a prime women rep. You know, let us be realistic.
No, you're being simplistic. We are dealing with practices elsewhere.
Let us just have the winner, because that is a contest. Okay. So and the contest come after every 5 years. So you have a chance to go and regroup again and prepare again and invest on doing good to Kenyans so that they can elect you. But the issue of massaging the ego of a loser, whether you have lost with 1 vote or 2 votes, because eventually you will say, if you lose by 2 votes and somebody else have lost with 100,000 votes, then that one with 2 who have lost with 1 vote, his ego must be massaged because that was a very narrow margin. No. A loser will, you know, even in our competition in KCSE, those who get A's go and do the best courses, medicine, engineering, and architecture. Those who got E's go back home to farm, because their mistakes are so many. If they cut their legs in the farm, there is no problem because it's their own legs. But let me tell you.
I think
when it comes to the education system, surely, yes. I think there's a space for everyone, even those who got E's.
Politics is based on interests. And politicians have got very selfish interests. I'm a politician and I've seen it. And that's why when you talk of forming these regional blocks, people are looking at what is in for Raila. Why is he saying it? Or maybe Uhuru and Raila might kidnap everything, and they kind of try and control Kenya. What I'm suggesting is we need to look at it interrogatively. I'm kind of differing with him, because for him, he's just talking about the other person who loses should be frustrated. But you see, an opposition is very, very good in Kenya, because a good opposition, a robust opposition, is the one that will keep the government in check. And that's why I'm kind of agreeing partly with the Honorable Kirwa, that we need to have a structure in which the opposition is also represented very well, so that when we talk of, let's assume someone has lost, like the way Raila lost to Uhuru, when Raila becomes the official opposition, he will also be with his people, with the senator who lost in Kakamega, or the MP who lost in Butere, or the MCA who lost in a certain ward. That MCA also forms part of the opposition now under the official opposition of of Raila, and therefore I think we need to kind of stay away from this discussion that if we do this, it will benefit Khalwale. If we don't do this, Songkok will not be nominated. I think we need to, you see, after all, everything will be paid by the taxpayer. And you see, it's good to govern the taxpayers' money. Yes, because as it is now in Kenya, we don't have an opposition. And you know, the government might end up signing contracts and doing business without even observation of the law. And there's no one to raise an alarm just because the opposition kind of went and...
Are we talking about opposition within the executive? Because, yes, in parliament there are the minority and the majority. But this discussion of changing the structure of the executive to actually accommodate most oppositions and probably even try and fit in a regional balance at the top. One would think that this suggestion for the regional blocks would be sufficient. Do you think we will still need that conversation to restructure the executive, even when we talk about these 14 regional blocks?
You know, when you listen, you don't know whether you are hearing the excuse or you are hearing a desire to move the country forward. If Kenyans can take the trouble and read the Bomas draft, which I think is the one that is being pushed now for the new structure of the executive, actually it does not accommodate the loser.
That is it?
It does not. The Bomas draft says that the president will be identified through universal suffrage. As soon as he has won, he asks the party in parliament,
the party with the majority,
or the coalition in parliament with the largest number of members of parliament, its head to form government. Now, what will stop the party in the in parliament with the highest number of votes being the same party of the president?
In this case, the Jubilee party.
Yes, like now it would be the party of the president. So it doesn't solve at all. All it does, it creates more positions for the African big man syndrome. All of us want to be big men in this country and what have you, and therefore want to be accommodated. So Kenyans should be careful.
So it does not necessarily resolve the issue
it
that
doesn't.
we've been talking about.
It does not resolve
probably
at
at the top we are not properly represented, that some regions feel left out.
Yes.
So the Bomas draft or that suggestion back then would not be the remedy.
It's not the remedy. Now, let me go to the other extreme. The other extreme is when we were at Bomas, we were almost all in agreement. And I remember my brother and friend, Deputy President William Ruto was there. Now, when I hear him say he doesn't want positions to be created for people, I now realized the guy is playing real politics. And let me tell you, what Ruto is saying is going to create a line of cleavage in the politics of this country that 2022 will be decided on that thinking. The people who will be thinking like Ruto now, and they are going to increase, and the people who are thinking like Raila and Uhuru. Why? Because we run a risk of what happened in Russia. In Russia, after President Putin had been president for some time, he gave Medvedev, who had been his prime minister, to become president, and Putin became prime minister. And then they changed again. So if we just run into this thing blindly, Kirwa, we run a risk whereby you bring in the new structure and Uhuru becomes the prime minister.
with all the powers.
Yes, becomes the prime minister, and poor Ruto, poor Musalia, poor Kalonzo.
No, Ruto becomes the president.
Wait a minute.
Okay,
no, Ruto has no chance.
This is a risk I see. But we tend to look at everything.
Yes.
Now, this one is purely based on 2022.
Yes.
But all these changes we are seeing, we're proposing, some look nice, some look risky, some look very ambitious to our constitution, are not based on posterity or Kenya's future. It's purely based on what will happen in 2022.
Yes, I want to agree with Bonnie that as Kenyans, we always deal with issues emotionally. That's why you had the 1992, what they were calling tribal clashes, political clashes, whatever the name was given. It was actually a political tool to galvanize certain communities towards the power at the time and isolate them from thinking about joining the opposition. Now today, it is very clear, and Mheshimiwa Alwala has put it very well. This is fodder for William Ruto.
Yes.
He wants to use this new Raila thinking. Now it takes the converse of it and galvanizes very innocent Kenyans on that particular bandwagon, including my good friend here, the Honorable Sankok. To try to give excuses for all the things that they may not understand and make it sound that the alternative is the best position. I can see Ruto breaking ranks with Uhuru should that referendum be set.
Exactly.
And it will be an excuse for him to run away from the arrangement that he had 2013 and 2017 and look for another community to galvanize the forces and say, okay, we are running away from dynasty. Wow. That is the position.
Aye, my brother, to that. You know, Honorable Kirua, whom I respect very much, now have turned out to become not only a Fowasia, but a prophet who can see the future and who can see the thinking of Ruto and who can predict the division between Ruto and Uhuru. Let me assure you, first of all, because I'm intimate of the working of Jubilee, that there will be no division between Uhuru and Ruto.
Well, that's very good.
We had a plan in 2012. By 2012, we had already decided who will be our presidential candidate of 2013, 2017, 2022, and 2027. That is for Jubilee.
And
it's already decided. No, 2032, we did not decide the
Yet you're saying that if at all we are to have this referendum, we should have it after 2022. So even you're looking at 2022 and you don't want 2022 disturbed for one reason or another, any referendum should come after that.
No, you know, I was saying it's not the issue of, it is the issue of us being already of a burden in terms of, it is you who read about the economic situation that we are in. But we are now saying that as Jubilee, you know, they are trying to bring some division between members of Jubilee. And I want to assure him, you know, I am just giving my assurance that Jubilee, by December 2012, we had already decided on our presidential candidate. The only thing that we don't know is probably the running mate of 2022 and presidential candidate of 2032. Even nominee 001, my position, is not known in 2022. I can donate to whoever who needs that position. But the presidential or flag bearer of Jubilee is already known, is a no-go zone, is a live wire. It is a transformer.
We need, gentlemen, our time is up, so I'll give you a chance to give your final remarks. You can decide to use it however you want.
No, I didn't know that I was debating with a man of faith. You have confirmed that you are a man of faith. But you see, you cannot put to task Honorable Kirwa for being forward-looking in his thinking. You know,
isn't that for us here?
It's you who's calling him Fowasia. You see, even the democracy that we have embraced in this country today, some people, thousands of years ago in Athens, in Greece, thought about it. So as you swear here that you have the intimacy that gives you the understanding of the going on in Jubilee, that... Would you like me to continue?
Yes.
That does not foreclose what will happen when now real politics starts taking place. Ruto is only at peace with Uhuru for as long as he is sure that Uhuru's traditional constituency will rally behind him. But the moment he is not, he'll have to look elsewhere.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Final remarks.
I think we shouldn't really focus on who will get the Jubilee ticket, because politics is dynamic and you never know what happens in future.
Yeah.
Then when we look at the 3-tier system, the one the Prime Minister proposed, my final views is that we interrogate it, we look at it keenly, and I've proposed that we in the Parliament, we have the Committee on Legal. It can be forwarded there, then the Committee on Legal looks at it, then it comes up with the suggestions, either amendments or positive suggestions, then we look at the way forward. And I want to ask my fellow Kenyans that it's better we talk in one voice. Not everything that is suggested is bad. Sometimes someone can suggest something that is good. The way Honorable Khalwada has put it, that the Bomas draft was good, but because of selfish interests, people decided to change it and to put 47 counties, and now we are still going back to what was proposed in the Bomas draft, and therefore I'm for it, but we look at it keenly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bona Kipruto Rapkirwa, because we only have David Ole Sankok as the only one from Jubilee on this panel, we'll give him the final opportunity.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Fred. First of all, I just want to request Kenyans that any suggestion that comes to the floor, we look at it with sobriety, because it is important that all these discussions must have a melting pot that will allow us as Kenyans to have a more durable constitution than to do a patch-up that we did between 1963 and 2010, where we did more than 34 amendments to the Constitution, while in America they have not done more than 15 for the last 200 years. And this Constitution is not going to be about us who are alive today. It's about us and our children and the children of our children. Thank you.
Okay, finally, David Osankok.
Yes, any amendment that will bring another burden to the taxpayers, for me, I will not support. And finally, I'll get out of the topic of the day, the politics, and pay tribute to the late Ken Jindo Matiba for having sacrificed a lot for the second liberation of this country without necessarily wanting anything back. He actually sacrificed his wealth and his health. But there are some buffoons in this country who actually sacrifice, but they have charged us. They have to charge us. They tell us we must give back to them because they did sacrifice in this country. I remember also when I was a student leader in the University of
choice of words, so.
Sorry, I withdraw. Even when I was in the University of Nairobi, I was a SONU chairman. I also sacrificed. I was jailed. I was tortured by being anti-commercialization of education. But I never went back and say I must be paid. So when we sacrifice for our country, don't put a price tag on the sacrifice we have made for this country.
Okay, yes, and as far as Kenneth Matiba is concerned, the second funeral service takes place today at Ihoro Stadium in Muranga, and we'll be heading there. Our reporter Waihiga Mwaura is on standby somewhere on the road between now and between the Lee Funeral Home and Muthaiga, where the cottage will be passing by. We do understand President Uhuru Kenyatta is expected to join that convoy to Muranga as well, and so we'll be beaming that signal live. Thank you so much, David Ole Sankok, nominated MP, Kipruto Rapkirwa, Deputy Party Leader, ANC, Tindi Mwale Butere, MP, and Boni Halwale, Deputy Party Leader, Ford Kenya, helping us look at the headlines this morning. Pub breakfast still continues, yes, even as we follow the happenings with regard to the funeral service for Kenneth Matiba. Chef Ali Mandri is also in the house cooking up some breakfast. Do stand by for that. Good morning.